Greetings, audience. For those of you who are taking the time to listen to this, thank you. I must warn you that I don't know how long this video is going to be. I did not pre-think what I'm about to say, and I did not, I'm not like reading a script or anything. The topic of today's video is trying to think of a good name for it. It's all spur of the moment. I'm just going to call it about friendships, relationships in general. Now, I'm not a popular YouTuber, for those of you who are watching this. I don't have a lot of videos, I don't have a lot of subscribers. I mean, it's not really been my intent to make money off YouTube. But for those select few who have taken the time to listen to this video, I hope when it's done, you learn something. Learn something new, I should say. Everybody's different. They all have unique perspectives to offer. I mean, I'm 30 years old, but I'm going to be 31 at the end of July of this year. So I'm kind of an older man probably compared to a lot of people who might be watching this. Hope that doesn't bother you too much. But in my 30 years of living, I've learned that more than anything, that people change. Situations change. Life throws things at you, at me, at everyone. And you can't stop life from doing that. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But oftentimes when life throws things at you, change quickly follows. Sometimes things happen randomly and the reason only becomes apparent afterward. And you can react one of three ways. You can either lash at something or someone when it's bad. I've done that. In fact, I had been doing that off and on since I was probably 25, 24, up until probably 29, maybe very recently, pretty much. So you can do that, or you can let life push you around. If you do that, I mean, you'll know, because at that point you don't really take it out on anybody, but you don't do nothing about it. You just let life knock you down and keep you down. And I've done that too, believe it or not. Before 24 and 25, my age that is, I would do that. Or you can realize, hey, life is saying, wake up, there's a lesson to be learned here. Which is what I've started to do recently, within the last year or so. I mean, when it comes to relationships in general, if you expect them to last, you're probably going to get disappointed. If you expect them to be perfect, you're going to be disappointed. If you expect things not to change, you're going to get disappointed. I used to ask myself, and I still do sometimes, like today, I ask myself, what's the point of connection? Why do we form bonds with people? Is it to escape loneliness? Is it to be, to be human? Is it because something we were taught to do? Is it because we just want to perform our own selfish desires and want someone else to do it with us? Maybe all of the above. I mean, I can't say that the answer I'm going to provide is going to be accurate for everyone. I mean, it might not even be 100% accurate for me, but it's all I can come up with. I think the answer is just to find gemstones. I don't mean literal gemstones. I mean people, like the people that you actually click with, the people that are actually loyal to you and won't betray you or leave no matter how much things change. But to find gemstones, you have to dig. You know, you have to keep digging no matter how hard things get. You have to keep digging. You're going to go through a lot of rocks before you find one. And a lot of these rocks probably are going to look like gemstones. You're going to know them for sometimes maybe just a day, like it's someone you just met only to say you don't like them. Or you're going to maybe know them for years. The reason I'm making this video today is because I just parted ways with my only best friend I have. He wouldn't want me to do this, but I think I should say it. I mean, his name was Kaysen. He lived in Oregon. He was 23. He's going to be 24 this May 4th. His birthday's on Star Wars Day. He knows more about me than anyone. You see, I'm kind of a loner, not by choice. I've been isolated most of my life. I've unfortunately been unable to find friends besides him. You know, a lot of it had to do with poor social skills. Might still be the case now. A lot of it had to do with my upbringing. You know, I didn't have a mother and father that raised me. I had to raise myself. And I was homeless when I turned 18, and I was in foster care when I turned 16. So blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to victimize myself here. I mean, it was years ago, right? I'm 30. I mean, we're talking a decade ago. So point is, I had a lot of stuff happen to me. I was dealt a bad hand. You know, but I played the cards as best as I was able to. I matured. I learned a lot over the last 12 years of being an adult. You know, since 18. You know, and believe it or not, when I was 18, I was a completely different person. Like, people change, I know. People mature within 12 years, but I've changed a lot more than any of you might realize. I was a very different person. I also played victim most of my life up till now. And there are people who are 40, 50, 60 years old who still have a victim mentality. So yeah, I sound pretty depressed because I literally just today, just a couple hours ago, we had a huge fallout and he said he was done. You know, I won't go into all the details. I don't want to make this video too long. But it's hard, you know. He changed a lot, and not in a good way, since I've known him over the last 5 years. Now, I never knew him in person, but we talked on Discord a lot. We played games together. Like I said, even though I didn't hang out with him in person, I mean, I live on the East Coast of the United States. He lives out in Oregon, right? So I live in Pennsylvania. He lives in Oregon. So we're basically on the opposite ends of this country, of the United States of America. And yet, we were good friends, you know. So, again, I decided to name this video, you know, friendship, right? It's about friendship, about relationships. And the reason I'm making this video, for those of you who are still listening and maybe sympathizing, I'm not, I mean, if you feel pity for me, I understand, but just know I'm not trying to like throw a pity party or nothing. The point of this video is I'm trying to just share something that happened to me and maybe let you know my mindset on it. Because I could play victim, right? I could be upset, and I am, but I'm not like gonna take it out on anybody. You know, I'm not gonna. I feel a little depressed, but I'm not like having any kind of, you know, crazy thoughts. You know, I'm an independent person. Okay, I've lived long enough by myself outside of hanging out with Proof that, like, you know, because I haven't had any like family to help me out, or I don't know, and even now I don't know any personal friends my age. And I'm 30, right? And so I didn't have any personal friends probably when I was your age, you know, all throughout my 20s. I've been isolated most of my life, you know. And it's because, like, my brain is 8 years behind my body, okay? So even though I'm 30, my brain is probably like 22, 23, which is why I was hanging out with Kaysen, who's 23, despite being 30. Now, some of you might think I'm mentally retarded, and you know what? Maybe I am. I don't know. I know when I was 18, I had the mind of a 10-year-old. When I was homeless, I wasn't even scared. I didn't know I was going to sleep or get food or nothing. I mean, I somehow survived miraculously. But that's all off topic. If anybody out there is struggling to wonder what a relationship is about, the answer of someone across time and space from you, who's been alone most of his life. This is his answer. Okay, this is my answer. Again, digging for gemstones, because I have every reason in the world, just from what I just told you in the last 10 minutes, let alone, any other time, anything else I could tell you. I have every reason in the world, to stop trying. And I played victim throughout my entire 20s. And I'm telling you from experience, if you do that and you stop trying and you just shut down, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. So I had for so long blamed people for my problems. Every time a friend that I met, every time they would leave, I would always blame it on them and say it was their fault. Now, am I saying it's entirely my fault? No, not necessarily. Blame can be put on either end. But at the end of the day, you can't control what people do. You only can control what you do, right? So, if you're feeling alone, like I am right now, if you're feeling angry because you can't seem to form connections because it's like nobody really wants to deal with you, or because maybe, whatever reason that makes you feel isolated. If you feel like you don't have any real friends and you don't know how to make any new friends, know that, and I can't believe I'm saying this because just a year ago I wouldn't have cared to, but know that you're not alone out there. And the advice of a 30-year-old man who has been isolated most of his life is to just don't make my mistake and shut down. If you're in your early 20s especially, or even your mid 20s, don't take till you're 30 years old to realize what I just realized within the last year. Okay, and that is, if you stop digging, if you play victim and keep blaming everybody else, for why you're by yourself, it's never going to end. It'll never get better. If anything, it's only going to get worse. So I've seen other people. I live around people right now. I'm in poverty. I'm a step above homelessness. I'm still trying to get my shit together. But the fact that I'm trying, is enough for me, because I know I'm going to get out of this eventually. I'm going to get myself out. But there are people I live around right now that are older than I am but still play victim. That still throw temper tantrums. Like my next door neighbor is 40 years old and she still throws a temper tantrum like she's freaking 14 or one of you might be 14, forgive me. Like a little kid, and it's kind of sad. I did try to help her realize it, but she didn't want to learn. She's set in her ways. Some people you just can't be reasoned with. Some people, they aren't going to change. And prove my best friend Kaysen's not going to change. So I'm probably not going to be able to keep being his friend anymore because, he's changed so much and nothing I said to him would get through, and he kept blaming me. And I was getting increasingly angry at him because I've been holding stuff in. The way he'd been treating me recently was horrible. And I've been putting up with it as I've been trying to be his friend, but so if you're struggling like I am right now, or if you have, and you probably can understand, please don't make my mistake. Don't abandon. Don't stop digging. Keep digging for your gemstones. You won't find a gemstone probably today. You won't find one tomorrow. Who knows how long it'll take. In fact, there's always that chance you might not find a gemstone ever. But at least if you dig, you'll know you tried. And if you stop digging, well, you'll never find one to begin with. Would you rather die with regret of wishing you had kept digging and at least tried, or would you rather die knowing, hey, you at least tried? And even then, if you're young, if you're like 18, 19, 20, or 14, or 24, how many more years do you think you have to live? I mean, you've got a whole life ahead of you. So, I'm sure you'll find people eventually, right? You're listening to a person who's been angry for so long, and a part of me still is. I still harbor a lot of anger toward people in general. A part of me still blames them for my isolation. My parents and the family that forsake me too. I mean, every friend I ever met. But I'm not letting that side of me rule me anymore. And it's so hard. I have an angry face every time I go out my door. You know, people think I'm glaring at them. I don't think I'm glaring at them. I have to like literally think about my face and like literally change my face to a happy face, because if I don't do that, I have like this very angry, stern face that literally frightens people. And I give off the vibe of basically don't talk to me still, and I'm not trying to do that. It's just something I've been doing for so long, for a decade, that I don't. That it's literally instinctive now. It's unconscious. I don't know how many of you can understand that, but just know that you have to keep at it and work at it. I mean, there's 7 billion plus people on this planet. I mean, there's got to be at least some people out there you can get along with, right? There's got to be a gemstone for everybody, right? There's got to be. I mean, try counting to 7 billion, starting like this: 1, 2, 3. 7 billion is a big number, so you're probably not going to do that, are you? That's how many people are out there on this planet. And unless what I've been reading is wrong, that population's not getting smaller; it's actually getting bigger. Now, overpopulation aside, the point is the population of this planet with human beings is huge. And when you think about it like that, don't you think it'd be a little unrealistic to stop digging when there's so many people out there? I mean, yeah, that's a lot of people to dig through, but even then, you probably won't have to dig through 7 billion people to find a gemstone. But again, if you stop digging, you'll never find anybody, right? So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. It's going on 17, 18 minutes. But for those of you who listened this far, thank you. Stay strong if you're feeling isolated like I am. All right, and don't stop digging. Don't play victim, and don't blame others for your problems. There's always something you can do. There's always something new to learn. Because the moment you enter that victim mentality and you start blaming other people and you start blaming places, you know, the moment you do stuff like that, the moment you shut down and just not care about nothing, that's the moment where you pretty much stop digging, and that's the moment where you don't move on, and you're stuck. And you could turn my age, 40, 50, and nothing will change. If anything, things might get worse, and you'll still be alone, isolated, miserable. And this is a loner, a person who's been a loner most of his life, telling you guys this. A loner. And not by choice. I didn't choose to be on my own, but my actions have consequences, and it took me 30 years to realize that maybe there are things that I've been doing that have been making me isolated. And blaming other people for that is not going to solve the problem. Now, is it? If it would, don't you think something would have changed by now? But it hasn't. So, I'm depressed today, but I'm strong. I'm independent. So I'll get over it. And I'm going to keep digging. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to let my anger force me to shut down. I'm going to figure it out. So, you all take it easy. Thanks for listening, and I hope you learned something.